Hello, this is Mrs. Boyd, and we are going to play around with sheets a little bit today so I can make sure you kind of have just the basics on how to manipulate your data in this very powerful, awesome tool. So I just put some data in here so that I could kind of talk you through some ways you can organize your data and how to use sheets to do that, because really you want it to tell the story of what you did over in the lab, and you want anyone to be able to pick up that data table and clearly be able to tell what's going on. So let's talk through a couple of things we can do here. So first, let's start with some terminology. What I just clicked on there is called a cell, and I clicked on the number 1 right there on the left, and that is called a row. I clicked on the A at the top, and that is called a column. If you want to select an entire column or entire row, you have to click on those letters and numbers. So let's say I wanted to change something in a row, for example. So I'm going to click the entire row using the number 1, and I can do things like change whether it's bold or not. I can change it to italics. I can change where the header sits, like more in the middle, off to the left. I can change if it's centered in the box or if it's at the bottom of a box. A really important feature is this thing right here called text wrapping. Whoa, do you see what just happened? I clicked that little kind of squiggly arrow right there, and one of the ways stacks the text right here. This is called text wrapping. It stacks the text on top of each other, which I love because it lets you make your columns smaller, and so you can always see your data just without having to scroll to the left or the right. And that I really love. If you don't want to do that, so let's say that you decide you want to keep it all just one line, you can also go about changing the width of your columns just by simply highlighting the column and then dragging the little arrows over. Okay, but you see kind of what that did? It now, yeah, great, it left room for the words to be all in one line, but it means your data is a little more spread out. So I tend to prefer to keep my data a little bit smaller, again, so I can see it all in one place, which means that I do have to change it over to text wrapping, right, like that. So it's totally up to you. Whatever you feel more comfortable with, you are welcome to do. All right, let's see, what else can I show you? Highlighting. You can see pretty easily here how you can highlight. Please use highlighting very carefully. You don't want to just start throwing in colors just for the sake of throwing in colors. You want to make sure that it's helping your audience really know where to look, or maybe you have a key for it somewhere else. So just use it very kind of judiciously, right? Just at the right time, at the right place. And if you want to ever maybe highlight a cell and you want to make sure that their eye is kind of drawn to that, then you can definitely do that. But just make sure that it makes sense when you start throwing that color around. All right. We can also add and delete rows. So if you want to delete a row, then all you have to do is come in here and click the row and do delete row. If you want to add a row, again, highlight the row, and then you can just push the little buttons up here if you want above or below. So that's kind of, nice to also have that feature as well. Okay, let's do some basic calculations. So I'm going to go ahead and start off and by the way, here's how you clear data out of a cell. You can highlight everything in a few cells, and then you just click it once and you hit clear. I'm going to do that for all of these here. Just going to clear all that out because I want to show you how to actually get those equations in there, like how to get the spreadsheet to calculate for you. So let's start with this volume change. So we know that's going to be final volume minus initial volume. We don't want to have to do this with a calculator. What if we had 800 pieces of data? My gosh, that would take us all day. So let's let the spreadsheet do it for us. So click on the cell. Go ahead and put an equal sign. That tells the spreadsheet that you want it to do some calculating for you. And in this case, we just want to do a subtraction. So you're just going to highlight the first thing that you want to subtract from minus what you're subtracting out, right? And then just hit the little green check mark and it calculates it for you. And here's the other cool thing. If you highlight that entire column, click on that top cell, hit autofill, it will do all of the data for you. Let's do another example. That was a subtraction. Let's do a division. Density is, grams divided by milliliters. So again, we always start with an equal sign, telling the spreadsheet you want it to do some calculating for you, space, and we are going to do grams of metal divided by the milliliters, the final milliliters. So how many milliliters of water did it displace? Again, hit the little green check, and voila, it did the density for us. Again, let's pull it down. Let's get it to do all the calculations for us. Autofill. And then I have this column right here called rounded, density rounded. That's because if I leave that density with all of those numbers past the decimal place, that communicates to another scientist that we had some really accurate instruments in our lab. We do not. We cannot actually determine density to that degree of precision. So we have to round it to something a little more realistic. So we just can do this by hand really quick. So we're just going to say 3.9. Remember the rounding rules. If it's a 5 and above, then we round up. If it's below 5, we round down. So 3.37 would round to 3.4. Just to kind of refresh you. I know you guys already know how to do this. This is 3.6. And you guys tell me, what's the last one? Right. I'm going to assume that you did an excellent job mentally. Okay, now let's find out how to get an average of all those densities. So this is a little bit different. Well, first we start with an equal sign. Always start with an equal sign and a space. This time, though, spreadsheets know what average means. So if you just start typing in the word average, aha, there it is right there, it's going to automatically know, ooh, they want to calculate an average. So all you're going to do is highlight what the heck do you want it to average for you. It's going to automatically go into those parentheses, hit the check mark box, and you have your average, 3.675. All right, so those are just some basic techniques for using Google Sheets. If you want to find out more about how to calculate percent RSD, which tells you how precise your data is, or percent error, then, and those are like listed right here, I do have another video that shows you how to do those calculations. And also if you go to the lab report guidelines, it kind of also walks you through visually with some notes and stuff, how to use Google Sheets to calculate that for you. All right, good luck, have fun.